Why is Jonathan Smith still employed? Like it's a fairly simple question and probably a fairly simple answer. But this guy's 3-11 in the Big Ten, 8-12 overall. They're one of the lone Big Ten teams with 0 conference wins. It's them, Penn State, Purdue, Wisconsin. They have the third worst point differential in the Big Ten. Meanwhile, there's teams with second-year head coaches like Indiana who are ranked inside of the top 5. You have teams like Vanderbilt who are doing the impossible in leading the SEC, a top 10 school. It feels like Michigan State could do a lot better than Jonathan Smith. And with this Michigan State game on Saturday night, I didn't even think Michigan played particularly well. They were able to run it down Michigan State's throat and go for 279 rushing yards. But I don't think Bryce Underwood was out of this realm. I don't think Michigan's offense was explosive. It was good. But if Michigan's able to play a non-perfect game, nowhere near close, having a ton of things to clean up, and they're still able to lay the smackdown on Michigan State in their home, on their home field, inside Spartan Stadium, under the lights in a rivalry game, to keep Paul Bunyan in Ann Arbor for the 4th consecutive season. What on earth is Jonathan Smith still doing in East Lansing? We have already had Penn State, Florida, Virginia Tech, UCLA, Arkansas, Stanford, all these teams that have decided to part ways with their coach because of the lack of success already this season. Oklahoma State, Oregon State, another 2 to add to that.
LSU even now.
LSU, after last night, Brian Kelly gone. Michigan State is holding on to Jonathan Smith right now for one simple reason. There is no other explanation other than they're trying to save money. He has $33 million left on his deal. It'd be the 3rd biggest buyout in the history of college football, only behind James Franklin and Jimbo Fisher and maybe Brian Kelly, depending on how this contract thing falls apart with him. Which, by the way, that was a fascinating story to follow last night in real time.
Yeah, they've notified him of the potential of his departure or whatever they worded that. It was odd.
It was very bizarre.
He was fired.
We'll get to that eventually. But with Jonathan Smith, like, I'm trying to look around and think, what is Jonathan Smith's staple win? Like, what is the best thing he's done for Michigan State? Is it Boston College Week 3? Let's check in on how they're doing. They're 1-7, 0-5 in the ACC. So you got to go back to last year. Is it Iowa who finished 8-4? That's Jonathan Smith's best win as a Spartan. That rivalry, as the game started, I thought to myself, there's actually a lot more on the line right now than maybe we realized going into it, just because the pressure on Jonathan Smith and Michigan's season was on the line. And by the time we got to halftime, it was pretty evident, even though Michigan hadn't blown them out, that Michigan State was not winning that football game. They just didn't have the juice. They didn't have the offense. They couldn't put together 5 consecutive positive plays, and their defense couldn't get stops. Michigan shot themselves in the foot a handful of times, and that was the reason Michigan State was allowed to backdoor cover and keep it semi-respectable. But, man, they blew them out. If you look at the box score, total yards, like, Michigan dominated that game from the jump and keeps Paul Bunyan in Ann Arbor for the 4th consecutive year. Where's the pride if you're Michigan State, if you're Jay Batt? Because you know what's a little bit more detrimental than having to fork over $33 million to a guy who's in year 2 of year 7 of a contract that the last AD gave him? It's the public embarrassment that you are displaying for everyone to see, whether it's recruits, alumni, hell, your students right now. Michigan State was embarrassed on Saturday night. For the 4th consecutive season, the program has hit an all-time rock bottom, and for some reason the head coach is still employed. It doesn't make any sense.
Especially when you see these other coaches getting bought out. That's the part to me that I'm more frustrated with. You brought in a new athletic director to change things, to change the funding, to change the NIL, to change the direction of the football program. And clearly, I'm not like sitting here blaming Jay Batt. Like, he hasn't been here that long. He hasn't had an offseason even to kind of figure things out on his own. But you bring him in to bring in his own guy as well. And so, to me, like, I'm totally with you. This has been my argument about Jonathan Smith this entire time. What has he done as the coach of MSU?
Nothing.
Like,
there's not one win that you can point to that's like, this is why he should still be here.
Oh, they went on the road at Maryland week 3 last year and won. They beat Iowa at home last year. Like, he does not. They haven't won a game in the Big Ten. This is my biggest frustration with this entire situation of well, it's still the rivalry. It's Michigan State versus Michigan. Like, you never know what can happen. No, I know what's going to happen, man. We exactly predicted what was going to happen.
Yep, to a T.
Michigan was going to handle MSU this entire game, and MSU would backdoor cover with a late score. That is exactly what happened, and we talked about it all day on Friday last week, and I'm just frustrated because going into the game on Saturday, from a Michigan State perspective, I started to feel like, but right before the game on Saturday, this is kind of a win-win situation for MSU. Like, I truly felt that way. Like, okay, you either go in and you upset Michigan, and obviously that's a win in itself. That's never not going to be a win. That's an awesome thing to win the rivalry. Or you get blown out by Michigan and Jonathan Smith, see you later. And somehow neither thing happened.
Right.
Exactly what we thought was going to happen where, yeah, they hung around a little bit, but they didn't hang around enough where you actually thought they were ever going to win.
No.
Now, sure,
they never showed anything.
The offsides penalty that, the forced turnover happens on, obviously that was a big shift in the game that could have changed a lot of things. I don't think MSU wins the football game if that play happens, but obviously Michigan scores a touchdown on that drive, so who knows. But like you said, they didn't show enough juice to be like, yeah, they for sure can still win this game. When you go for 2 after the touchdown, and then also
what was that about?
Well, I'm fine with it. You have to take the 3 points on the next drive. When it was 4th and 4 or whatever, and they go for it and don't get it, you have to take the field goal on the next drive to cut it to an 8-point game. You can't do both things. You have to do, and so it was frustrating. Bad coaching job from Jonathan Smith. Obviously, this Michigan State team prides itself on its ability to score the football and move the football down the field. They've scored 13 points 3 straight games. Obviously they scored a touchdown with 10 seconds to go with their backup quarterback in. Sure, I'm not counting that. They scored 13 in 3 straight games, man. This is not some good offense that people seem to give it to.
And we can start pointing fingers as to whose fault this is. To be quite honest, Kyle, I don't really want to see fingers pointed at Aiden Childs. You know what's going to happen with Aiden Childs? He's going to transfer to a bigger program, and he's going to ball out because that guy is talented, and he's tough. He just has no protection. Terrible offensive scheme, one good receiver. He's under constant duress. Look, does he make stupid mistakes once in a while? Yes, so does every single college quarterback.
Right.
You can't ask this guy to be absolutely perfect, but that's exactly what Michigan State does on a week-to-week basis to the point where their only form of offense is to run a tush-push with him because it's the only time they can actually run the football with any sort of confidence.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was going to say. It's obviously when Childs is under pressure, he really makes poor decisions and turns the ball over much more frequently than you would really like any quarterback to.
Sure.
But
both things can be true.
If he wasn't under pressure, when he has time and he's in the pocket and he actually is able to roll out on his own when he's not like being, chased by a bunch of guys.
Let's put it this way.
He's a much better quarterback.
He's the second best player on your team, right? It's Nick Marsh and him.
Probably.
He would be one of the better quarterbacks in the Big Ten if he had a halfway decent roster around him. He's talented.
He's for sure leaving next year and going to a Big 12 school or whatever.
And he's going to ball out.
It's going to be great. Yeah, for sure. There's no doubt about that.
It's
going to be frustrating, of course.
So I don't want to see the fingers pointed towards him if you're a Michigan State fan. They should be pointed towards Jonathan Smith, and that's basically it. If we want to start talking to the assistant coaches, that's fine. Guess who hires those guys? I mean, the broadcast on NBC made a mockery of Joe Rossi on Saturday.
I mean,
mockery.
They kept showing him on the sideline. He's just freaking out.
Because he was acting like a buffoon.
Well, then you kick it over to Jonathan Smith, and he just has never showed any sign of emotion in his life. It's just like, can we find a happy medium between these two guys?
Well, that goes back to the point that you've always brought up. His name is John
His name
Smith.
is John Smith, man. He's boring. He's vanilla. What is we should have known from the jump. It's so frustrating.
Meanwhile, Joe Rossi's having a heart attack on the sideline, freaking out. The gamesmanship from him, the hero cam shot of him every time the defense let up anything. He's the worst defensive coordinator in the Big Ten.
Oh, for sure.
How do they not have a single good player on the defense, and how do they not scheme together a halfway decent drive ever? They don't know what they're doing on that side of the ball. There's a miscommunication in the secondary. Then they got ran all over. Michigan said, we see that you're a terrible passing defense. We're just going to run it down your throat, and you're not going to be able to stop that either. And sure enough, Michigan State had no answers to it. Now, I don't want to take away from Michigan here because it feels like this is a Michigan State-focused open, but it's mind-boggling that Jonathan Smith is still employed for Michigan State University.
We should have known with John L. Smith, everything that happened at MSU there, and he was bought out in the early 2000s, and then it happens here with this version of John Smith. the state team is bad. We can talk about Michigan, give them credit for sure. They do deserve it. Like you said, you had questions about a freshman quarterback going on the road in a rivalry game.
He played good enough. He played good enough.
He totally played good enough. It also helps when the team you're playing is just bad.
Yep.
And they're just a bad team. And they have 0 wins in the Big Ten, and they're probably not going to get one, and yet their coach still is the coach.
9